Sorry about that. I'm not sure what's going on here. The whole flipping world's going crazy. But anyway, hey, look, what is happening is a government with overreaching. The government think its role is to control all of us, and it's not. We're adults. We should be able to choose in our country what we do. As a party, we're saying, look, obviously observe great hygiene. Wash your hands, keep yourself sterilised. If you're in a position where you are elderly or very elderly, or if you have a pre-existing condition, obviously isolate yourself. But to shut down the whole country for 4 cases, this is extreme. It's unnecessary, and it's going to have massive cost to people, and not just financially, but social costs for people, mental health costs for people, far in excess of the effect of COVID. I really am genuinely concerned at the government overreaching its mandate. Its mandate is actually to run the country, not to totally control what you and I do in our time and with our businesses and with our efforts. And yet this has been controlled since this government got in. And I'll give you some examples. The firearms legislation pushed in 2 weeks without due democratic process. The abortion laws rushed through Parliament while we were in lockdown. The laws they changed in 24 hours to validate the lockdown. The laws they've just brought out in tenancy, which removes the property rights of landlords. People that are saved, scrimped, budgeted to buy a property now have less rights than the people that are actually in the house. This is crazy stuff. It's ridiculous. I think it's 157 bits of legislation passed since lockdown. Don't quote me, I don't know if that's exactly right, but it's a massive amount that is just rammed through continually by this government without actually listening to the people, and it has got to stop. They are not gods. They are not elected to be kings and to rule over us. They're there to actually represent us, and it is not happening. We've lost our democracy. We've lost our ability to actually control this government. They just go down whatever path they think. They don't give us clear direction. They're not telling us the truth. You cannot find out how many people committed suicide during the last lockdown. They say the majority of people coming back to New Zealand are citizens. What majority? Is it 51% and there's still 49%? We heard stories just yesterday of a whole busload of Chinese people arriving at the Novotel in Auckland, massive amounts of bags that didn't speak any English. Now, I'm not anti-Chinese, I've got great Chinese friends, but that does not sound like New Zealand citizens returning home, does it? What is actually going on? What we, the people of New Zealand, want from the government is some honesty, is some transparency, is some idea that they've got a vague notion of what budgeting is all about. We want them to actually be wise in how we spend our money, not actually throwing millions away just on PR over COVID, but actually spending the money on the issues that are real for New Zealand. And we want them to respect our rights as the citizens of New Zealand to choose which way New Zealand goes, not to be dictated to by them or any international organisation which may be telling them what to do. If we would like to try hydroxychloroquine, can't even say it right, we should be allowed to. What right has the Prime Minister to ban it coming in from to New Zealand? We should be allowed choice, and we're not being given it. We're not a socialist state. We're not a dictatorial regime. We are meant to be a democracy. You and I are meant to have the right and opportunity to influence government of what they should do. I'm a tradesman. I do what my clients ask me to do because they're paying my wages. In a similar way, the government should be doing what we ask them to do because we pay their wages, and they're not. If you just stop and look at the cost of this whole COVID thing since the beginning of the year, the tens of billions of dollars it's cost us, for what real gain? I'll put it to New Zealand that actually we're being controlled by a government that has either no idea what it's doing, or it is being told what to do by somebody else, because this is not logical, it's not sensible, it is hurting us as New Zealanders, it's hurting our businesses, and at some stage we've got to say stop. Now, for the fact that so many people called that we would be in level 2 in August, and it's exactly what's happened, indicates very clearly that this was preempted. And if it was preempted, then that's not honest and it's not transparent. The fact that we're not being told the figures of the people coming in and how many are actually New Zealand citizens is not open, and it's not transparent. The fact that tomorrow businesses in Auckland are going to suffer massive losses, people won't know what they're doing simply because of 4 cases is not honest, it's not kind, and it's not transparent. And it's time someone called this government out, because they say they're going to be kind and they're not. They are hurting people, they are hurting businesses, they are making people unsure and scared, and they're breeding fear. That has got to stop. We're a tiny island nation at the bottom of the world. It is so easy to control who comes in and comes out. And this government is not doing it, and now they're asking you and I to pay a massive price for it. I say it's wrong. I say this government is not acting in the interest of New Zealand, and they must be held accountable for the dictatorial way that they're trying to control us all. You get to choose. You get to choose how you respond to this information tonight and whether you think it's right or wrong. But be sure that if you stay quiet and just allow yourself to be pushed and shoved around like this, it will get worse and not better. Because unless the people of New Zealand stand up and actually say this is our country and we should be free, we should not be locked up and restricted like animals, unless we stand up and say that together, we're going to get more and more restricted and lose more of our freedoms. If you want freedom, you've got to take it, because it's being removed from us right now, and I think this latest dictate from the government is another clear example of that. New Conservative have been really consistent on this whole thing. We believe in freedom of speech. We believe that the government should be controlled by the people and not the other way around. And we believe that actually the government's role and purpose is simply to enable and encourage us to thrive and succeed in this land, not to control and not to dictate. And we also understand very clearly that this government did not go hard, they did not go fast, they let COVID come into this country. People were arriving here after COVID had spread internationally. They were arriving here with no restrictions, walking straight out of airports, jumping in cabs and going to hotels. Yes, the restrictions have got tighter recently, but obviously not tight enough. And the fact that we've gone into lockdown for just a few cases is wrong. So we're calling the government out. Poor response, massive cost, little value for money, and a loss of freedoms for New Zealand. It's not good governance, and frankly we need a change, and we need it sooner rather than later. Thank you for watching. I'm Leighton Baker from New Conservative.